when I was growing up and computers came on the scene for me in the late 70s, early 80s, I really got taken with it all, and I decided that that's what I wanted to do for a living. So now I work in corporate IT, but I still have a passion for those early computers. Not just the ones that I used to use, but also the ones that were unobtainable to me because they were too expensive, or you couldn't, or because you couldn't own them all. You kind of had to pick a camp and stick with it. And so now as an adult, I've started to collect older computers. A while back on eBay, I seen a lot of new old stock Nabu computers being sold. I had to Google to see what they were, and I found out that there were these Canadian set-top boxes which basically have been phased out years and years ago, and a load of them have been discovered and sold on. I didn't actually buy one at the time because I wouldn't know what to do with it, but since then there's been a big community effort in recreating the Nabu network, for which they are dependent, so that you can now connect them up to the internet as a surrogate Nabu network and download and run software from that. Because they've got a Z80 as well, it means that a lot of CPM software will run on it, and it sounds like a really interesting computer to explore, and the build quality of them looks amazing. So I've actually found one finally on eBay at a reasonable price that was being sold in the UK, and here it is. So this video, we're going to unbox it, and we're going to have a go at fitting a new power supply, a UK power supply, 230 volts rather than the Canadian 110, and also a DC fan. I'm not trailblazing here because somebody's already been down this path, and I found a blog called Adam's Retro Computer Repairs, where he's listed which parts that are compatible to get the Nabu running in the UK, and I've bought those parts and I'm ready to follow the blog and have a go. And so I thought it would be great to invite you along on my adventure as we have a go at this and see if we can get it up and running in the UK. This is the first time I've opened the box, so when it arrived from eBay, I took it out of the outer shipping box that the chap in the UK kindly sent it in. But this is how it's. This is how I found it on the inside. So let's open it up and see how it looks. We've got the original Nabu book there, which is great. Looks interesting. Pattern list. So let's see how it looks in the flesh. It's got the poly inserts, that's great. Oh, serial numbers, that would be good to see. I don't know if they'll match. Serial number, yeah, so serial number for the keyboard is 007664. Let's see what the other parts of it are like. See if they match. Oh, what's it here? Oh, interesting. Network cable. A bit snug. It's quite heavy, that's for sure. Dear me. 007664. Oh, that's great. So they do match. And then here's the cable. As you can see, the US/Canada style plug. So on the back, adapter, printer, keyboard, audio, video, channel select, cable out, cable in. In the front, let's see, it's quite a nice front. So we've got, are they buttons? Oh, that's the power button. The other one's a reset. And then we have on, pause, alert, and a check set of LEDs. So aesthetically, it's in very good condition. Whether or not it works at all, I've got no idea. And I guess so, neither had the guy that sold it to me. Due to the condition of the box, it does make me wonder if it came across recently as part of the sale of the new old stock, or has it been around here in the UK for a while? Who knows? I don't know the origins of it. Okay, now that we've got it unboxed, let's take it apart and have a look inside. Like it's, oh yeah, just had to bend it slightly and then it's there we are. It's a nice clean computer. Hey, there's no dust at all in there. Absolutely spick and span. Now let's take off that cover of the power supply. So there's the 110 power supply. Again, it's lovely and clean. It's a shame that I couldn't just convert that power supply to use 230 volts, but I just wouldn't know where to start. I'm not a proper electronics engineer or anything. I'm just a hobbyist. The thing is with these power supplies, a replacement power supply, it has to do plus 12 volts as well as plus 5 volts. Okay, let's get that board out and see if we can swap it over. There is some rewiring to do, it's not a one-for-one swap per se. .15 volts. And that fan I'm going to replace as well. It took a little bit of fiddling, but I cut this end off and then managed to pull it through, so I've got that off as well. I need a spanner now to undo those, or unless I leave it and just cut this off. I might just do that. I think I'll just cut these wires. May as well keep them as long as I can. There we go. Good. Looking a lot better. Right. Now what? I'm going to try now and fit this replacement power supply just into the old mount. Okay, well with one screw it seems alright. But it doesn't quite fit like Adam's blog said it would. It's just one screw. But that said, I could drill a little hole in this power supply where the other screw hole should be. It's basically just there. So I'm going to go and do that. So basically, as you can see, the standoffs don't quite line up. So I'm going to go and drill a hole in the power supply and I'll be right back. So I've been and drilled a hole next to the original hole, and hopefully if this then fits through. Oh, that's a shame. Look, well, I think I can manipulate that. I just need to rearrange it so that the washers are on before I'll try to push the bolts through, and then I think it'll be okay. I'll just do it off camera for a second. Right, I've manipulated the screw into the other hole. I'm just going to now have a go at mounting it on the board. There we go, solidly mounted. That's good. So the next phase really is having a look at Adam's pinouts and working out how I'm going to wire up from there to these. I might just cut the ends off and just screw them on. Screw them into the terminals, all of them. Although he did a much more professional job than that. But I'm only learning. I wonder if I should replace that fuse, because otherwise that'll blow straight away. In fact, rather than remove it, I could just bypass it, couldn't I, and leave it there. Or I could even replace it now. I could replace it with it. Maybe there's a fuse within the power supply anyway. So rather than remove it, let's just keep the history and bypass that fuse as well. Okay. So I've got a fan to fit the back. This is a 5 volts DC fan. Again, Adam recommended this in his blog, so hopefully that'll fit there. I don't know if I'm going to need a specific set of screws or if the screws that I took out will work, so I'll have a little bit with that now and see how that goes. Okay, so I bought this set of nuts and bolts a while back. M series but nuts and bolts, and looks like this one might be alright. I'll try that, whatever it is, an M3, possibly 20mm it looks like. Let's see how I get on with that. That M4 or M3 bolt looks perfect actually. Might just put a little washer on as well. See if the nut goes on okay. So there's the 3 new M320 bolts. I bought a crimping kit, but unfortunately the crimps are actually too small to fit in the gaps on the terminals, so I've had a little look in the box and there's these alternative pointy ones which I can perhaps put under those terminators which I can put, so I'm hoping to put these round ones under the trap and still be able to tighten them up. So instead of that, I think I'll use them. I've looked at the blog to see how these are connected up, and Adam on his blog, he just replaced the wire harness altogether, and that really would simplify it, because as I look at it I see that there's various parts where it splits off, like the orange one there for example, it splits into 2, the red one splits into 3 and so on. However, I would like to keep that and try and keep the machine as whole as possible, so I'm just going to join them back together again, and I'll just use larger of these pin type crimps, just having a go around stripping back these wires. I don't know which diameter they are, maybe I'm just going to try half if you want. Yeah, that seems to work. I don't know if they'll all fit into one of these little round red ones. There's some colour coded options here. Oh, dropped it. For different diameters of cable, and I'm just guessing what the diameters are. I'm just going to shove it in, see if it fits. You know what they say, if the cap fits, wear it. Maybe if I join them all up as one strand. Yeah, that one does fit actually. Seems to be fine. Ooh, it's poking out a little bit there. And then we'll try the new crimping tool. Well, it's colour coded, so it looks like red goes to red there. I guess you just crimp the back part off. Oh, just try on the front. Right, here we go, let's see what happens. Firm press, it says in the book. Epic fail. But it could be my technique. Well, I'm almost certain it's my technique. I'm going to test these now with the meter and just make sure that everything is electrically sound. So I'm going to test it now with the meter. I'm going to put it on diode because I like the noise when it beeps. So just testing the probes first. That's good. Sorry if you don't like the noise. And then I'm going to go for black first, I think. Just continuity test between there and one of the black terminals. Beautiful, so black's alright. So now I'm going to attach them to the power supply. Two spare earths. Now I've got to bring in the power. So my plan is to just butcher a normal UK computer power lead, the kind that you find powers your kettles. Is it an IEC 13, I think? Or IEC 14? One's male and one's female, I remember that part. So this is a moulded plug, I don't think I can ever use that again, so I'm just going to chop the cable off, and because it will be dirty where that's been, I'm going to maybe chop it off just before that. Mashing through it, there it is, it's done. It's good length of cable, I don't know, it looks like 2 meters or something. Now I did keep, or try to keep, oh yeah, there's the grommet. Don't know how that works, so I'm going to have a good look at it there. I'm just going to pause it and I'll have a look. Ah, see, now I understand. So the grommet comes apart, and then try and position this so that the camera can see. There's the hole where that's supposed to go through. So if I take enough to work with for now through there, and then this I'm going to clamp on at the last minute. This basically clamps onto the cable in 2 parts, and then you can shove it in the hole. So I'll do that in a minute. So for now I'm just, with this through, fed through the hole, this mains cable, I'm going to strip it back, I'm going to crimp some of them ends on, and I'm going to feed it in to the power supply through that switch. So I was thinking I might reuse these wires on the switch, and then I started to worry that I might not be able to safely carry the 240 volts. So I'm going to take them off now instead and put new wires on. And for that, because again I'm no expert, but if this mains cable can carry the mains, then I'll use an offcut of this to wire up to the switch, and then I'm playing it safe. It's not a very big soldering iron tip, might not melt it very well. Get a bit of solder on, that could help. There we go, it's starting to go. Okay, so I've routed the power cable underneath the power supply now. This blue one I'm going to put directly onto the neutral. I've had to use the bigger crimped ends because it's all that I've got left that'll fit in this housing. But I'm sure it'll be fine. Just finger tight, I don't want to over tighten it. At the same time, got to be tight enough to not work its way loose. Yeah, everything is tightened just nicely. And then my plan, I've just stripped these. I'm just going to solder the two brown wires so that the live is split across the switch. Solder iron's just heating up. Again, tin the end. I think I'll apply a bit of tinning on each of the wires just to help it. There we go. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm just going to touch that on there and it should solder on okay. Just clean the tip and get ready for the second one. Tin the end. Okay, good pull on them. They're pretty solid. With the spare earth spade, which was already on the Nabu, I'm going to hook that up to the earth that's come from the mains cable with a yellow crimping end that I found, which fits. That's it. And then I'm just going to push that underneath the power supply and make it nice and neat. Looks alright. I've bypassed the fuse entirely because I don't know if it would just blow straight away with the 230 volts. I know it's all about current and not voltage, so it should, I think, be double or half or, or the same. I'm not bothering to look it up, I'm just going to rely on maybe a thermal fuse there. But also, it's a UK fused plug anyway. I should check which one, what size fuse, shouldn't I? That it's properly rated and not just 13 amp. I will do that off camera. I've left with an end from an earth with a spade on it here, and I'm just going to put that under the screw that I put in to keep the power supply in place. Just because I don't want it lying loose, but it's already earthed, so it doesn't really need it, but I'll do that now. After a bit of fiddling, I've got the strain relief and grommet thing in. I put it in from that side, but I can't remember if it was that way originally. It looks alright to me. I think it'll be alright. It certainly isn't pulling out either way. And the cable looks alright. It's routed into the power supply. And these cables look okay. I'm going to now just check them electrically one more time and make sure everything's all connected up properly to the colours that match up on the board. And then I'll be good. So I'm going to stick this on. So next, I'm going to have a go at connecting it up to a monitor and flicking the switch, turn it on. Let's see what it does. So I removed a fuse from the plug. It was a 13 amp fuse. I'm going to replace that with a smaller one. I've looked at the bottom to see what the power rating is, and it's rated at 5 amps at 115 volts. I'm going to be running at 230 volts, so I think what I do is I half that And then I'm going to round it up a little bit. So I think a 3 amp fuse will probably do. I've got a box of fuses here that I bought a while back for just household stuff. I've put the 13 amp fuse I took out, or I'm trying to put it in there, but there's not enough room, so I'll stick it in the one next to it, just to recycle it. And here's the 3 amp fuse I'm going to put in instead. So if you're not from the UK, you might find all this a little bit bizarre, given the design of different plugs around the world. But in the UK, you can often change a fuse by just popping out the bottom cover there. That's it. I'm still just setting it up and I got this cable out and I was thinking, oh, is that a keyboard cable? Surely it can't be. And then I remembered, oh yes, this is an old set-top box, so maybe the idea was you plug the cable in and then you go and sit on the couch, which could be quite a distance away. So it's got a good long run of cable for that purpose. Okay, so this is a moment of truth. I'm just about to flick the power switch. I've set up the Commodore 1084S monitor just through composite. I don't know if it's going to work properly because I don't know if it's an NTSC monitor, but if we get any kind of picture, I'll be happy. Here goes. Oh, that looks good. That means that the power supply is okay, the Nabu motherboard's working to some extent. We don't have a network adapter configured at all yet, so it won't be able to get out to anything in boot, but it's doing its local post test, for want of a better word. There we go, adapter failure. So I've seen that error message on the internet and that's perfectly normal. Whether or not I can get colour on this monitor, I don't know. I'll have to maybe have a bit fiddle with some of the buttons on the back, but if not, it doesn't matter. I'll see if I can dig out some of that old TV that might have NTSC support. I've switched out the monitor for a more modern, not that it needs to be more modern, but more modern with more flexible features, old TV. It's still old. I think it's from around maybe 2010 or something. It's a little Polaroid, I don't even know the size of it, 20-inch widescreen TV thing. Try and get it to boot now from the internet, and we're going to have a go at interfacing it. Now there's two ways to do that. We can either interface it by creating a cable to a PC, or I was thinking about hacking the signal directly from the chip. I've also seen something on the internet about a guy doing that. So basically you can lift a couple of legs off one of the chips and then interface directly to get the digital signal, and you can then miss out the whole serial communication interface on the back and haven't botched your cable. So we'll go direct to the chip and take the sort of TTL logic levels and interface directly to that. So let's have a go at that. The chip that controls the serial adapter is this UART chip here. It's a Western Digital UART TR18363B02, and the pinouts are published. So what I'm going to do is use this USB to UART adapter. I think there's only 2 or 3 we'll need, like send and receive and ground, I guess. I don't know about any of the others, I don't think so. And then we'll be able to hook it up to a PC and start doing something a bit more interesting. I've been researching which pins on the chip, and I found this detail in another YouTube channel called My Geek Hobby. And you can see here the chip, it's indicated that pin 20 is RX and pin 25 is TX, and it goes off to hardware for to do RS422, but you can break the tracks there, which I don't really want to do, or you could lift the legs on the pins so that they're not going into the motherboard, and then you take these to your UART adapter. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the chip, lift the legs, reseat the chip, and then connect the UART adapter and see what we get. So I'm going to carefully extract that chip. I don't have a proper chip puller, but I use these things. I don't know what they are actually. I bought them so long ago. Little spatula things are quite handy. I don't want my leverage up on top of that capacitor. Oh, there, it's coming. There we go, it's off. So the notch on the end of the chip orientates it, so pin 1 is here. Pin 1 is VCC, which is the 5V line. Then you've got, not connected then, ground, so I'm going to need to pick up on ground. But I don't want to bend that one out, it's because that it still needs to be connected to the motherboard, but I will try and tap off that or somewhere else to get ground later. And then at the bottom end of the chip, pin 20, which is this one, is one of the ones. It's labelled as RI. And then the other one is pin 25. So it's, if that's 20, then it goes 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Again. Just trying to keep all the legs straight, feeling along with my fingers to see if it's going into the socket straight, which it is. There we go, it's all in properly now. Yeah, all the pins are in straight, that's good. So those two pins I can now tap off and put to the receive and the transmit of the UART adapter. Now the receive and the transmit go from, how do I put this, from the one to the opposite. So the transmit on the chip goes to the receive on the UART and vice versa. They don't go transmit to transmit because otherwise it would clash. You need to have the transmit of one going to the receive of the other. And then I need the ground. And then on these things as well, you get this 5V and 3.3V selector. It has to go on the 5V because this is TTL, which is 5V, rather than CMOS and the 3.3V more modern chips, low power stuff. So let's wire it all up and see if we get anything out of it. TX is white, so the white one has to go to pin 20, so that's there. Goes on the other pin. Don't try and reach around and do it from the back. Yeah. There we go, that's two, and the third one, I just want to just touch it onto there. Alrighty, that's good. Just tacked on that one. So I've installed the Nabu Network internet adapter on the Linux machine and got it running okay. Now watch what happens when I turn on the Nabu. So this is its boot process. Goes through some self-tests like a normal PC, kind of like post-tests, early kind of post-tests. It makes a couple of beeps. And then there we go. We're in. So it's loading this stuff through DJ Sure's network internet adapter software straight from the Internet Archives itself. It's basically not running locally from my machine. All I've got installed is that internet adapter software and nothing else, and it's just going off through that like a proxy and getting everything it needs. There's quite a lot to explore on here. We can have a little look at the networking services themselves, and there's some bits and pieces on there, including pricing for the services, which is all from 1980s. There's some interesting stuff in the education channel. There was some typing stuff that I tried. But let's have a quick look at the world of games, because it's quite interesting to view. It's a little less dry than text-based stuff. So there's various pages of stuff, and you can use the next and previous page buttons. And the one I particularly like, because I used to have it on the old Atari 8-bit, is Miner 2040 Miner. And then you just need a Atari style joystick into the joystick port at the back of the keyboard, which you can actually use the joystick to go through all the menus and load the games if you want as well. And there we go, there's the old Bounty Bob. Comes up with this menu. Again, you can just press the joystick button, but you can use the keys. Where it says the go key, that's literally where the return key is. So it's like hitting return to start. And I'll go for one player. And I think that's a really decent port. Dare I say it, I think it looks better than the old Atari 8-bit one from memory. Then when you finish playing the game, there's a key on the keyboard, symbol shift and pause. It gives you the exit button. And then it goes back and boots from the network again. And then you can pick a different bit of software or game. Nova Blast, for example. Hit OK, and then that one will load. I like these little adverts for their software and classified ads and stuff like that, little banners that they put in there. I think that's quite an interesting touch. This one looks like a Glaxion's clone. Oh, it's quite hard. It's either quite hard or I'm getting very old. Yeah. So there you go, there's a quick demo. What's left to do on it then? Well, at the moment, I'll just use the pause key. So at the moment, I don't have the case screws in, and I just have those raw cables hanging out the side and then connected to the UART adapter and then the USB into the PC. Perhaps really it would be better if I made that a little more permanent somehow. I was thinking that maybe I could switch out the back plate, one of the back plates at the back, for a special 3D printed one with a USB female connector in or something like that, and I can just plug the PC into that. But then I'm kind of reluctant to do that, even because I think that they're working on like an ESP32 solution, which will be wireless, and then maybe you don't even need the USB. That concludes the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. To recap, we've basically unboxed a Nabu, swapped out the power supply for a UK power supply, switched the fan out for a 5V span, configured a UART adapter to USB, and we've installed and run the software to access the Nabu network. If you have enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Hopefully it will encourage me to make some more. Thanks. Bye.